Have you ever had a loved one that has been affected by something as damaging as Alzheimer's disease? A mom, a dad, or a grandparent that one day doesn't remember who you are or who they are. By submitting this information, I acknowledge it's my own work. Alzheimer's is a serious disease that it could affect your loved ones or even us one day. It's a disease that's irreversible, it's a progressive brain disorder, and it slowly destroys memory and thinking skills. My name is Elisha P. I'm a UALR Speech 1300 student, and I've completed my 4 hours of service learning by joining our community at the Alzheimer's Walk. Today I'm going to talk to you about my service learning experience at the Alzheimer's Walk. And then I'm going to tell you about some communication concepts that relate to my service learning, and then I will talk about an ethical implication and principle that also are connected to my service learning. Now I'm going to tell you about my personal experience at the Alzheimer's Walk. What we did at the Alzheimer's Walk is we had our firm set up a table that handed out estate planning questionnaires and guides that just informed the community about how important it is to set up a healthcare power of attorney in case you are faced with something like Alzheimer's. Then at least you have someone already designated that can handle your healthcare decisions that you trust, instead of it just being up in the air and you don't know who will make decisions for you. The mission of my organization, according to alz.org, is to inform our community about Alzheimer's and to raise money to help fight the disease. Some of the communication concepts that I'm going to tell you about now is I've chosen respect. And when you show respect, you acknowledge others by listening well and validating their points of view, according to Abigail Lane and Gooch. What I noticed at the Alzheimer's Walk was that even though it was a lot of people, everyone was very respectful to each other. We were all there sympathizing with each other, whether you were someone who was affected directly by Alzheimer's, whether you were a loved one or a caretaker. The second communication concept that I chose was communication. And I chose that because it's the process, defined by Abigail Lane and Gooch, it's the process of creating and sharing meaning. Everyone was there together to create and share the same meaning, which was we were all there to raise awareness of the early signs of Alzheimer's and, of course, to try to raise money to fight the disease. The UALR principle that I chose was messages reveal and impact the nature of relationships between communicators. And according to the UALR course manual, the definition is that every message that we interpret influences in some way how we see the relationship with each other. And so, of course, when we were there, everyone realized that we were all there for the same reason, and the message was just that, we cared and we want to help you whether we're directly affected by the disease or not. A civil ethical implication that I used was concern for the community, and that, defined by the UALR course manual, is committing to the practice of daily actions, interactions, and performances of engaged citizens that promote a creative community experience. What I learned at my experience was that everyone was there, even though I'm not directly affected by it. Just the past few years, I've had someone that has come into my life, and she is, and just over Thanksgiving, she was asking me 1,000 times, who are you again? I'm like, oh, I met your son, which she didn't when he was a baby, and it was kind of reminded me that, even though I'm not affected, there are other people that are around me that are affected by it. And then the second ethical implication that I chose was caring and grace. And again, according to, as defined by the UAR course manual, Caring and grace is understanding and meeting the needs of people we interact with. Again, what I noticed was that everybody was there was just like patting each other on their back or hugging, or, you know, it didn't matter who you were, old and young, you were all there for the same reason, and you all just, you know, at that moment had a lot of compassion for each other. So, in conclusion, what I went over today was about my service learning experience. I gave you a couple communication concepts that related to it, a UALR principle, and just told you some about my experience. And I just hope that I helped everyone be more aware about, you know, Alzheimer's, even though it's not something as known as like cancer and things like that. It's still something that's